Well, here we are, Monday morning. Yes, we got the grass cutter out there weekend, and we had a bit of a shave up there, clean up it, keep the air out my eyes for Christmas. I hope everybody's all right and having a good day and it's been a lovely weekend, really, absolutely fabulous. I mean, it's colder, but it's nice. Not much rain, but there we are. Keep safe. Now, I've got a couple of birthdays here today. Louisa Pope, well, she was, and she is now Louisa, who's my niece, really. Louisa, she was James from Down Ale. Um, anyway, happy birthday to you today, mate. And of course, tomorrow is my nephew's, my twin sister's boy, Jonathan James, is his birthday tomorrow. So I hope you've got a day off tomorrow, Johnny, and have a good day with your family. All right. And then I got another little one here that I was asked to do if I could. Um, Rodney Sullivan, out there in Australia, hey old boy, really. But this is from a happy birthday, which I know was on Sunday, so I'll say Pembloth low on these sols, which is happy birthday to you, friend, in Cornish. But happy birthday to you anyway. That was on Sunday gone, and this is happy birthday from Penny and all your family down here in Ale, and from of course us the Smitherums. You know all the Smitherums and all that lot down there. Happy birthday on Sunday gone. Just stay safe, and it's nice keeping in contact with you. All right. Now, I'm going to do a Liz Armand story today called Jacko. It was his 10th birthday, 11th of December 1888, and John James Matthews, commonly known as Jacko, was a long way from home. He had sailed with his father, also John, a few weeks earlier to Plymouth, as crew members on the Newland fishing fleet for the herring season. He was cabin boy on a boat skippered by a Mr. Deeble, a gentleman renowned for his fierce temper. It was said that when Mr. Deeble lost his temper, smoke came out of his nostrils and steam out of his ear holes. He was not a comfortable man to work for. Jacko's duties included keeping the cabin clean, the stove alight, the kettle filled, oven to shoot and then unmouse the nets, and clearing up the deck afterwards. When sailing, he would hold the gaff to keep the sails steady and generally make himself useful and do his best to keep out of trouble. His remuneration for all this was very simply what was referred to as overplush, the odd coins deemed too small to be shared out amongst the men. He could also have any damaged fish that came aboard, which he could sell on the quayside or round the streets in Plymouth. Because this was the first time he had been away from home for a fishing season, because the boat would not be returning home till January, his mother, in a moment of maternal generosity, had bought him and sent him a birthday cake. It was a fine cake, iced and decorated with colourful marzipan fruits. His only experience of cake prior to this had been saffron or heavy cake, so he set to with gusto, picking the fruits off one by one, savoring the bittersweet taste of the marzipan until he reached the last one, the strawberry. This glowing red fruit with a bright green hole he had saved until last. In his ignorance, he imagined that the entire confection was edible, but when he tried to swallow, the wire from which the hole had been fastened to the strawberry stuck in his throat. His screams brought the crew running to his aid, and each tried to pull the wire out, but to no avail. It was decided that his father had better take him to seek medical help, so he was marched screaming and choking to the hospital. When the crew realized they'd wasted so much time on Jacko, they'd missed the tide, and would therefore lose a day fishing. He was not popular. Next day, with a raw and tender throat, he was back to his normal duties. Children grew up quickly in the 19th century, and to add insult to injury, when he looked at his cake, all he found was crumbs. The crew had eaten it all in his absence. Eventually, the herring season came to an end. The boats made ready to sail home. If it had been a reasonable season with a bit of profit, the men tried to take home a present for their wives. Most times they took this form of a paisley shawl. Indian travelling salesmen would go down to the quays with their wicker baskets, displaying their wares, driving the shawls over their arms with the flair and tenacity of a shop assistant. John Matthews bought a bright, colourful shawl for his wife Sarah Ann. Jacko didn't make any purchase at all. On the return to Newland, the shawl was duly presented and accepted with great appreciation. With new shawl over her shoulders, Sarah Ann turned to her young son and said, half jokingly, "Don't suppose you've been able to bring home presents, have you, my son?" "Yes," said Jacko, and took out a matchbox from his pocket. "Box of matches," said Sarah Ann. "It'll be useful, I suppose." "Sit down, mother," replied Jacko, "and hold your apron up on by the corners." Sarah Ann did as she was told, and the boy threw the matchbox on her lap. Something told her there was more than matches in the box, and when she opened it, she found gold sovereigns. Every penny that he had earned had been changed into gold for her. At this bounty, Sarah Ann was so overcome that she cried. Wiping her tears away, she looked at her son. Well, my boy, she said, you've been away all these weeks and you've done a man's work. What's more, you've brought home a man's money. From now on, you'll be treated like a man. So long as you're under my roof, there'll be half ounce of digger tobacco in my order every week for you. So, Father, you had better get the boy a pipe. Thus, at 10 years of age, and with parental approval, Jacko was introduced to the evil weed. Sarah Ann kept her word, and Jacko had his baccy every week until he married 15 years later and left home. Throughout his life, Jacko was rarely seen without his pipe, for he had been in great fear of choking. Now, take care. Look after yourselves.